This is Attack of the 20th Century. Thank you for joining us as we explore science fiction, fantasy, and horror films of the 20th century. I'm your host, Jeff.
And I'm your other host, Kim.
Welcome to episode 53. We are wrapping up season 3 of our podcast with our yearly end-of-season awards show that we affectionately call the Attackies.
The Attackies. It's like the Dundies, if you're not an Office fan. You're not going to catch that.
Which is a play off the ESPYs from ESPN.
That's right. It's a ripoff of a ripoff.
Yes, so it's original. A ripoff of a ripoff is original.
That's right. Full circle.
Look for us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Attack of the 20th Century. That's 20th. We post our next movie selection there. You can comment, give your thoughts, and they just might make it on the air. As always, you're welcome to email us at attackofthe20thcentury@outlook.com. We always start off with a segment we call What You Watching?
Yeah.
And you and I both saw with our whole family and also my mom and some friends of ours.
Yeah.
And Mike, of course, who's been on the show
Yeah,
several
Mike's whole
times.
family was with us too.
Mike's family was with us. We went to see Godzilla -1.
That's right.
The latest Godzilla film, Japanese produced. It was very, very excellent.
It was excellent. Very well done.
Yeah. Everybody in our group, everybody said how awesome it was.
Yeah, I think everyone actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I have to say, this is probably the only Godzilla movie where I really cared about the characters.
Yeah.
Like our main stars, I was worried for them. I wanted to see them make it through this disaster. Okay.
Yeah, there were multiple tear-jerking moments in this movie. And for the record, I was in a movie theater after 7 p.m. and stayed awake for 97% of this film.
Yeah.
So, that's saying something. It's good.
Yeah.
It was a good film.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole movie, I'm invested in all of the main stars. I'm rooting them on. And then let's talk about Godzilla for a second. He's actually really scary in this movie.
He is pretty scary.
Like from the very beginning, when you see him, his introductory scene, I think I actually shook. It kind of comes out of nowhere.
I think this is definitely one you should see on a big screen because the sound, the noise level of Godzilla, the monster, is part of his character.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Very impressive.
I think maybe we should pause on discussing this further because I have a feeling Mike really wants to discuss that movie with you in comparison to some older Godzilla movies because you and our youngest are the authority on Godzilla movies now. So you might not want to give away all your thoughts now.
That's a good point. We'll wrap it up. But let's just say, as far as the cliff notes, go see it in the theater while you can now.
Yes, go see it while it's in the theater.
So as mentioned before, this is our Attackies award show. And I have to admit, I always really look forward to this.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's kind of a year in review. So can you explain to our audience what are the Attackies?
Okay, so the Attackies, much like the Dundies or the ESPYs, are just a round of fictional awards that we're handing out to movies that we have reviewed this season. And we'll be covering things like most rewatchable film, most appealing movie universe, most becoming actor, most enthralling actress, most powerful baddie, best leading actor, those types of things, like you would have at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Right?
But just funner.
Yeah, they're just funner, and they're only covering the movies that we've watched this season, and they mean nothing to anyone else in the universe except for us.
I don't know. Some people would really like an Attackie award, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure Johnny Depp is going to call us next week and thank us for any awards he may or may not receive. Any nominations he gets here tonight.
So let's review the movies we watched this season. The first 2 episodes, we crammed in a bunch of movies, Mike and I, if you remember.
Oh, that's right.
We did the whole Evil Dead series. Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, which is the 2013 version, and Evil Dead Rise.
Wow, that's a lot of movies.
A lot of Evil Dead. Then we did Horror Express.
Yep.
Orca. That's where we kicked off our summer swim series,
that's
if you remember. So we did Orca, Alligator, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and we finished that off with Jaws, of course. Then we started our spooky season series, And we did V, Theater of Blood, the Ichabods. I'm sorry, the Ichabods.
There's only one Ichabod.
The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Yep.
Casper from 1995. Taste the Blood of Dracula, Hammer horror film. And then we finished off our season with Sleepy Hollow by Tim Burton.
That's right. So those are the movies up for potential nominations and Attackie awards tonight.
Correct. All right, so our first category, we're going to discuss most rewatchable film.
What does that mean?
That means this is a film that anytime it's on, maybe you're flipping through the channels, it happens to be on, you're going to stop, you're going to watch it.
Yeah, except for, does anybody flip through channels anymore? Flipping through your streaming service offerings?
Yeah, it's a good question.
You could if you're staying in a hotel. You might be flipping through channels.
Right, that's true. So our nominees are The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Theater of Blood, Army of Darkness, Jaws, Sleepy Hollow. So 5 nominees. So let's make the case for each of them. Well, The Adventures of Ichabod, Mr. Toad, I think really you think of Halloween, right?
Or at least when you think of Ichabod. Yeah.
Ichabod. Yeah, that's true. Mr. Toad.
That's not really Halloween.
You can watch that anytime. The case for it, it's just fun. It's silly. You look at Theater of Blood, especially if you're a Shakespeare fan, which you are, and I am as well. And Vincent Price is probably like his most outlandish performance. You get a lot of different Vincent Price. Yes. Right? Because he's different characters.
If you're a Vincent Price fan, this is probably your jam.
Yes. Army of Darkness, if my brother were to see this list, I think this is the one he would pick.
For sure.
And, I've seen it with him a bunch of times. Silly. It's definitely the happiest, funnest Evil Dead film. It's comedic, right?
Right.
Jaws, that's a classic, right? I mean,
oh, yeah.
It's on every year, sometime during the summer. It's going to be on the TV.
I feel like it's on every day during the summer. Well, you have Shark Week during the summer, so it's got to be playing during that. Right.
Absolutely. And then Sleepy Hollow, again, Tim Burton. It's kind of at the height of the Tim Burton, Danny Elfman, Johnny Depp, that whole group, Lisa Marie, that whole group was all together making really killer movies.
So if they're like the Brat Pack, but not the Brat Pack, the Brat Pack, well, we had the Rat Pack, then you had the Brat Pack of the 80s.
Yeah.
These guys are the Creep Pack?
I don't know. I would say Goth.
The Goth Pack.
The Goth Pack, but that doesn't rhyme with Brat or...
No, or Rat.
Rat.
Yeah, but the Goth Pack works.
Again, like if me and my brother were doing it, I would say Army of Darkness is right up there with Jaws, but you and I were selecting...
Oh, and I'm tainting the results.
Yeah. You're definitely swaying them. But I agree wholeheartedly. I think our victor is Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws.
You can watch this movie.
If I come through the door and you guys are sitting down watching a movie and I'm, 2 steps towards my bedroom with a book, or sit down and watch this movie with you guys, if Jaws is on, I'm going to stay and watch Jaws. Yeah. Okay, so our second category is most appealing movie universe. And basically this is if we had to live in one of the movies we reviewed this season, which one could we hack it in? Or which one would we enjoy the most?
Right.
Really,
again,
either.
You're not one of the characters in the movie.
Right.
Like, you're you, but you're just in that movie universe.
You're just getting dropped into that movie universe.
Right.
Right. So our options here are Taste the Blood of Dracula, which is basically set in 1905 London. Then we've got Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's like the 1950s Amazon, even though we know that was filmed here in Florida. It's supposed to be happening in the Amazon. Sleepy Hollow, which is set in 1799 New York, so like baby America. Amity Island, which is New England in the 1970s. That's where Jaws is set. And then, of course, Toad Hall in London, 1908. So that's a similar time period to Taste the Blood of Dracula. We've got 1905 London, but Toad Hall is a very different location than the 1905 London depicted in Taste the Blood of Dracula.
There's no bloodsuckers running rampant in Toad Hall.
No, Toad Hall looks like the animated quintessential English manor house, really in the manor house height of their powers, or really right before their decline in the early 1900s, right?
Yeah.
It's cozy, it's charming. Like, I would live there in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up. So obviously my vote goes to Toad Hall for the Attacky.
There we go.
All right, so I get to also present the most becoming actor.
And what does that mean, most becoming actor?
So this doesn't really have to do with the depth of the character or the acting that's happening in whatever movie the character is in. It really has to do with the eye candy. Like, which of these actors is, bringing their A game in the looks category, right?
Just for this movie, too.
Yeah, and just for this movie. We're not taking into account their whole body of work, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so the nominees for Most Becoming Actor are Johnny Depp from Sleepy Hollow, Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead 2,
Groovy.
Alberto de Mendoza, he was from Horror Express. He was like Rasputin-looking priest guy, right? Casper Van Dien from Sleepy Hollow, same movie Johnny Depp was in, and Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go through and discuss why they ranked on this list. Well, first of all, we have a short list of movies we're choosing from. I don't think I need to go into why Johnny Depp gets picked as most becoming actor, right? Like he's Johnny Depp. Even though this movie character isn't my favorite Johnny Depp character, he still looks like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And that you can't escape that.
Yeah.
So Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead 2, he's a good looking guy. He's kind of got that Gaston, jock, strapping man, very, male machismo kind of thing. But he's a man's man. I mean, he's a very handsome looking guy too.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost I guess because it's his personality is played up so much. It's a little bit too handsome, like comical, right? Like
he plays it silly too.
Yeah, he plays it silly, exactly. Albert de Mendoza, for those of you that have seen Horror Express, he's like the priest on the train, ends up becoming kind of like the baddie of the movie at the end. He's very striking looking. Like he has very mesmerizing eyes.
Yeah.
But a little bit creepy too, because he's got that Rasputin kind of long beard, mystic.
He's kind of the bad boy, right?
He really is the bad boy of that movie. Yeah.
Even though he's a priest, but he kind of has a bad boy look. He's got the big beard, long hair.
He's got a real spooky vibe.
Yeah. He's like the goth guy again.
Yeah. He could.
He's your goth pick.
He would be the goth pick, yes. Then we have from Sleepy Hollow, another good-looking guy, Casper Van Dien. He was the Brom Bones character, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be the love interest of Katrina Van, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Van Halen.
No, it wasn't Van Halen. Van Weasel? No, that's not it either. Whatever her last name was, main character, Christina Ricci. Yeah, whatever. We're not talking about the girls right now. He was a very good-looking man. He looks... when that movie came out, I probably would have felt more comfortable with saying, like, wow, this is a good-looking guy. Yeah. But I am now almost 45, and I feel like he's a little bit young-looking for me to say he's a good-looking kid.
No judgment here.
Okay. But he is a good-looking guy. And then our last pick, which I kind of laughed at, it's Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. He has a cute thing going for him. I have a thing for gingers, so, I guess that's how he made this list.
He's really smart.
He is very smart.
And very
Intelligence
funny.
is hot, yes. And humor is also hot. So I just felt wrong to say the word hot. But and Richard Dreyfuss. But there is something very attractive and cute, endearing about Richard Dreyfuss in this movie.
Very likable.
All right. So the award for most becoming actor goes to Johnny Depp. Because, I mean, come on, you look at this category, it's got to be Johnny Depp. I'm a product of the 90s. It's Johnny Depp every time. Yeah.
I mean, he's a 10 and everybody else is something less than a 10.
Yeah. He looks like a past middle-aged woman now in 2023. But in 1999, he was still looking like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, absolutely. I can support that. Though if I were picking, I would probably say Bruce Campbell just because... he is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the dude has a shotgun. He's got a chainsaw for an arm.
But, if I had been older in the 80s, I think I probably would have picked Bruce Campbell. But because really I'm a product of the 90s, Johnny Depp is he's more grunge, right?
Yeah.
He's That's more my scene.
So our next category is the most enthralling actress. This is the actress in their part, you know, maybe not their all-time hotness scale, but just in the movie itself. So the nominees are Linda Hayden in Taste the Blood of Dracula, Sylvia Tortosa from Horror Express, Lisa Marie from Sleepy Hollow, Diana Rigg from Theater of Blood, and Robin Riker from Alligator.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's the actress in the movie part, because I felt a little bit funny, like, why isn't Bo Derek on this list? Because she's a perfect 10,
Oh,
right?
yeah. She's an Orca, right?
She's an Orca, but she's not a perfect 10 in Orca. She's kind of young and...
She looks sporty
Yeah.
in Orca. That's no digs against people looking sporty, as I stand here in my flannel and sweatpants.
God bless them. But she doesn't make the top 5, right?
Right.
So let's go make the case for each one. So Robin Riker from Alligator. You know, I like a good scientific nerdy girl. I married one.
Thank you.
So there's definitely some hotness and smarts, and she's cute, right?
Yeah.
You look at Diana Rigg, Theater of Blood. As far as if this is Diana Rigg from the Avengers TV show,
Oh, yeah.
she's an automatic.
Striking. Yes.
You know, Diana Rigg is a Bond girl, but you know, you got to think of like, what is she playing in the movie too?
Well, she spends 50% of the time dressed as a man in Theater of Blood.
She's dressed as a man, looking like somebody from the Muppets.
She looks like a Muppet, yeah.
Right? She's very beautiful. She's a Bond girl, right? She also is a killer.
Yeah, she's a murderer.
You know, they're
murderess.
sawing a dude's head off, right?
Yeah.
While he's sleeping and his wife's sleeping. So, you know, that's a little bit of a turn off, right? I don't want that. Lisa Marie, obviously, she's like the goth pick. She has that kind of elf, otherworldly beauty about her.
Yeah, I could see that.
Sylvia Tortosa from Horror Express. I was telling you earlier, she reminded me of Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
That kind of just classic, you know, glamour beauty. In the film, you know, she's obviously a rich heiress. Definitely well put together, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then Linda Hayden, Taste the Blood of Dracula. She's kind of the good girl. Like, she wants to move on from this bad home life, marry her sweetheart. Of course, then Dracula gets a hold of her, puts her, you know, some mojo on her. And then she's like bringing people to him for him to kill, right?
Yeah.
As we all know, she snaps out of it in the end. Love conquers all, and
Good.
all is well. So these are all good cases, right, for each of these gals. But I would say the victor for this category is, drum roll, Sylvia Tortosa.
Oh, okay. From Horror Express.
Yeah. I mean, she really is just a gorgeous...
Very striking and very high class.
Yeah.
All right, so another category that we love to cover is the best Halloween party film. If you listen to us much, you know that we often talk about whether or not a movie could be playing in the background of your Halloween party.
Yeah.
Or in the background at our favorite burger joint, which is Chop Shop, because they often have old classic horror movies playing.
That's right.
Yes. So our nominees for best Halloween party film is it V or Vi?
V. Yeah, we'll say V.
Sleepy Hollow, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Creature from the Black Lagoon, or Casper.
All right. Halloween party, think of it as like all ages.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. When I look at this list, like there's some definite distinctions of like, if I was having like a party for my nephew and all his little friends, he's like a kindergartner, right? So obviously in that case, I'm picking Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, right? If it's like our youngest sons, like 12-year-olds, teenagers, I could go with the Casper. But if you want to go all ages, kind of something that's classic, Sleepy Hollow is a little too gory, right? Like you got a lot of
heads are rolling.
Yeah, literally heads are rolling. It's a little gory. V might be a little too spooky, you think? Or too...
You know, I think it could work, but it's a little odd. It's definitely a little funky.
Yeah, you kind of have to be in it to understand. Like, it's not one you can walk by and be like, oh, that's such and such. This is happening. You're going to walk by that during a party and be like, what is happening here? So that really leaves us with Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's a classic monster movie with a classic monster that everybody's going to recognize. It's not too scary. It's not too gory, but it just brings the right vibe for a good Halloween party.
Absolutely. A great pick.
Thanks.
Our next category, most powerful baddie. So our bad guy that's able to kick butt and take names.
Yes.
So our nominees are Jaws. Of course, he's a shark. The Headless Horseman. The Evil Dead. Dracula. Or the alien from Horror Express.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of ape-looking, sort of.
Well, so let's go through each case.
Okay.
So you just mentioned the alien. Keep in mind, the alien is able to take the form or possess. Basically, he possesses the body.
Yeah, so the ape-looking thing isn't actually the alien. He's a host.
Yeah, he's a host.
Kind of like the Thing, right? You can kind of like hop hosts.
Yeah, and what's different is he's able to assimilate the knowledge and all information and memories of the host.
Yeah, that was honestly my favorite part of that movie is like at first you see him like picking a lock and you're thinking, this is a prehistoric man.
Right.
How does he even know what the heck a lock is? And then you find out later, oh, he's assimilating knowledge from these people he's like killing or possessing.
Exactly. You know, and it's just a shame. You could turn it off and say, this is stupid, and Abe is picking a lock. But if they explain it, like, okay, well, that's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end, you know, he's able to control anybody who's killed. Remember, he raises them from the dead.
Yeah, like an army of dead souls.
Dead souls. Of course, then you have Dracula. He is able to take the form of a bat, right?
That's
he
pretty
can
cool.
fly. He lives forever. He feeds off your blood.
Well, he lives forever unless sunlight.
Yep. Now, he definitely has some weaknesses, right?
Right.
Now, you know, in the case kind of against Dracula is like, I kind of feel like I could defeat Dracula, right?
Oh.
If I'm ready for him, right? I have my holy water and my squirt gun.
And your garlic.
I got my garlic. I have my crosses all over. Maybe I go ahead and get a tattoo of a cross on me.
Wooden stake.
On my neck, you know?
Does that work? I don't know if that works.
I don't know, but so he's powerful if you're not expecting
If you're unawares, yeah.
The Evil Dead is definitely a strong case, but I don't really understand the full power of the Evil Dead because the rules kind of change from movie to movie, but basically they're demons that possess people.
But don't you have to summon them? Like that's the whole necronomicon thing, right? Or something?
Well, you can, but then once they're loose, once they're in the world, they can just...
It's like Pandora's box.
Yeah, you've opened Pandora's box. They can jump into you. They can possess your body.
Okay, that's not good.
So that's pretty scary stuff. The Headless Horseman, he's a ghost, right? That arises. He's riding a horse. Mm-hmm. He could have a flaming pumpkin head that he's going to throw at you. He's definitely wielding swords and chopping off heads.
Right.
So that's pretty powerful. I don't think you can just kill him unless you have his skull.
Well, and it depends on the version, right? If you're talking Sleepy Hollow, Johnny Depp's version, or you're talking... Ichabod's version, Disney's version, he's kind of mythical, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't really know if he's real or not.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then lastly, Jaws. I mean, Jaws is powerful if you're in his domain. Like, you're out for a swim.
Right. Stay out of the water. There's
no real John Williams score letting you know he's coming.
This is pre-Sharknado, so he cannot get on the land and chew you up.
No, he's not flying around. But you're out for a swim in the middle of the night. You're skinny dipping with your gal.
That's a big no-no to begin with. Don't do it. You're asking for shark attacks.
He's going to come eat you. But it's hard to say he's the strongest because, you could just stay away from the water and you're okay.
Right. Unless you go to SeaWorld in that, third version of that movie?
Jaws 3, yeah. So our victor is, drumroll please, the alien from Horror Express.
Awesome.
And really, you just think about his powers. Not only is he able to leap from host to host and gain their knowledge, the ability to raise the dead of anybody he's killed.
And make them your army.
Make them their army. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
We'll give it to him. That's pretty powerful.
Next category, Best Supporting Actress. So this is a new category for us this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've had this in the past. And part of that is 20th century movies don't necessarily have amazing roles for actresses.
That's
right?
True. That's true. We're usually lacking in the actress area.
Oh. But so we watched some films this year that did highlight some actresses. So let's go through them.
All right.
Our nominees are Miranda Richardson as Lady Van Helsing.
Nope, Van Tassel, not
Lady
Van Helsing. Those Van names are really tripping us up.
I know.
Van Tassel, that's a name I couldn't come up with earlier.
Yes, from Sleepy Hollow.
She was the mom, but not the mom.
Yes. Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie from Evil Dead Rise, which she kind of snuck in there. You know,
Yeah, that's not a 20th century movie.
No, it really isn't. But we covered the whole Evil Dead series as a whole.
True.
Natalia Varley as the witch from V. Lorraine Gary as Mrs. Brody from Jaws. And Isla Blair as Lucy from Taste the Blood of Dracula. So let's go through and make the case for each of them.
All right.
Isla Blair plays Lucy. She is kind of a fun-loving, free-spirited, a little on the wild side kind of girl.
Okay.
And then, of course, she's confronted by Dracula. She doesn't really want to become lunch. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, she does get converted to a vampire.
Uh-oh.
And then ends up murdering her own father. So
that's
quite a range that she has to show.
Yeah.
Lorraine Gary, we talked about several times as Miss Brody. Some great scenes in Jaws, obviously. Natalia Varley as the witch. She plays sort of a sweet character for some of the time, but a lot of the times she's bringing the spookiness and the evil and judgment for our fallen priest character. Alyssa Sutherland, she plays a single mom in Evil Dead Rise. Definitely a good range here. She's kind of trying to do what she can to make ends meet until she gets possessed by the devil and then becomes
That's a problem.
pretty nasty and mean, trying to kill her own kids.
As one would.
Miranda Richardson, she is our baddie from Sleepy Hollow. She is kind of using and abusing people and, out for her own self-interest. So we did put this poll up on our Instagram, and our Instagram folks got this down to 2 because we put all 5 up and did kind of that poll. And it came down really to Lorraine Gary from Jaws and Alyssa Sutherland from Evil Dead Rise. And we actually side with you, our listeners, and it is Alyssa Sutherland that wins.
All right, so if we're going to do Best Supporting Actress, we need to follow that with Best Supporting Actor. So the nominees are Robert Shaw as Quint from Jaws, Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper from Jaws, Michael Gazzo as Chief Clark in Alligator, Jeffrey Keane as William Hargood from Taste the Blood of Dracula, and Peter Cushing as Dr. Wells in Horror Express. So Peter Cushing, of course, is being Peter Cushing. He doesn't get to really showcase all of his amazingness in this movie, but he's a good, second fiddle.
Sure.
In Horror Express. Jeffrey Keane in Taste the Blood of Dracula. I'll let you speak to him because I did not watch Taste the Blood of Dracula.
He plays a two-faced father trying to be kind of the moral upright character. But then we find out that he is a womanizer and a cheat and actually, attempts to sell his soul in order to have kicks.
Gotcha. And then we have Michael Gazzo. He's just kind of a larger-than-life character as Chief Clark in Alligator. Real bombastic and just a very strong character. Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper in Jaws. We've already talked about Richard Dreyfuss. Like, he brings everything to the table to play this Hooper part. He's like a marine biologist, knows about sharks and all that fun stuff. Gets to play kind of this professorial type that lives on the water, right?
Yeah.
Really, really good job there. And then Robert Shaw as Quint. If you've ever seen anyone quote Jaws, heard anyone quote Jaws ever, they're probably quoting Quint from Jaws because he's such a perfect fit for this character.
Yeah.
And we saw him in something else.
Well, he is in James Bond as the tall, blonde Russian baddie.
Yeah, like this is just such a different character for him when you see him in
British.
Other things. Yeah, he's a British actor. And he just plays this hardened New Englander fisherman just to a T with his accent and his just grit. I think he really shines in this supporting role. So,
Absolutely.
without further ado, the award goes to Robert Shaw as Quint in Jaws for Best Supporting Actor.
All right. I will say our Instagram followers, it came down to Robert Shaw or Peter Cushing, and they voted Peter Cushing.
Oh, really?
Yes, so interesting. The next category is our best music soundtrack / score. Of course, if we had reviewed hundreds of movies, we would have one for soundtrack and then one for score. But for us, we're putting them together, basically best music for a film. And our nominees are Jaws. Of course, we have John Williams, who's our composer for that. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which was Henry Mancini, Hans Salter, and Herman Stein.
Wow.
James Horner for Casper. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. We had songs by Bing Crosby, and then, of course, Oliver Wallace did some of the composing. And then Taste the Blood of Dracula had one of our favorites here, James Bernard, doing the music for that. So going through, James Bernard, of course, with him, you get such luscious band / orchestra compositions. Really dynamite stuff. Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Bing Crosby singing the songs in the Ichabod portion. It's light and it's fun, catchy tunes.
Yeah.
James Horner, some really pretty pieces, mostly with an orchestra in Casper. Good piano pieces. The Creature, you think of that, those big stinging hits every time the Creature shows up. Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
But there were actually some really good compositions in this as well. But where we really landed, though, is how do you beat Jaws?
I mean, that score is so world-renowned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's epic. It really is, multi-generational, will be remembered.
Oh, yeah. And it's been borrowed by so many other people and movies.
Yeah. So congratulations, John Williams. You can come pick up your Attacky at our home in Lakeland.
Yes, please come see us. We'll create something to give you.
That's right.
All right. So if we're going to do Best Supporting Actor and Actress, that moves us right into our Best Leading Actress and Actors. You want to kick us off with the Best Leading Actress?
Yes. So our nominees are Julie Adams for Creature from the Black Lagoon, Diana Rigg as Edwina in Theater of Blood, Christina Ricci, which we've seen her in 2 films this year, but we picked her as Kat in Casper, actually. Linda Hayden as Alice Hargood in Taste the Blood of Dracula, and Lily Sullivan in Evil Dead Rise.
Right.
Lily Sullivan, she plays this character who is kind of looking for herself. She's hard on her luck. She shows up at her sister's house hoping to try to reconnect with family. And of course, they're having hard times financially.
Right.
Of course, things get way, way worse when, they let out the Evil Dead. Linda Hayden, we talked about before, how she plays good girl, she plays sweet girl, then she plays kind of evil girl, like doing the bidding of Dracula.
Right.
Christina Ricci, as a young woman in this, shows a great range, especially as a kid actor.
Yeah, and she's probably acting, I don't know, against a green screen or something. Like, there's not actual ghost in the room with her.
Yeah. And then Julie Adams as Kay in Creature from the Black Lagoon. She's definitely iconic.
Oh, yeah.
The
white bathing suit.
Exactly. And she does well. She's definitely more memorable as an actress than probably the actor leads that she's going against.
Sure.
But the winner in this category is Diana Rigg playing Edwina in Theater of Blood.
Yeah. Bravo. All right. So then we have to have a Best Leading Actor. And the nominees are Robert Forster as Detective David Madison in Alligator, Vincent Price as Lionheart in Theater of Blood, Bruce Campbell as Ash in Army of Darkness, Roy Scheider as Chief Brody in Jaws, and Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow.
All right.
So let's talk about Robert Forster in Alligator. He's playing this Detective David Madison. he's kind of gets kicked around a little bit. He doesn't get listened to a whole lot, but he's given it his all. Like he's a pretty straightforward character, and he does a good job. He does a good job of carrying the lead, I think.
Absolutely.
In that movie. Of course, we've talked a lot about Vincent Price as actor Lionheart in Theater of Blood, and Vincent Price is doing everything in this movie. Like he's literally playing he's playing himself in the multiple Shakespearean characters and other roles that he's put himself in to make his kind of mock Shakespearean death scenes, you know. So it's just, I mean, you know, he's throwing 100 miles an hour there. It's if you love Vincent Price, this is the most Vincent Price you're going to get anywhere. Bruce Campbell as Ash in Army of Darkness. You know, he's one of your favorites. He's a larger than life character. Just, you know, he's being Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
For sure. Johnny Depp as Ichabod in Sleepy Hollow. You know, we've already given Johnny Depp the Most Becoming Actor award but that doesn't take a lot, you know, like he just exists as that very nice looking human. That's great for him. I will say, like, he's a good fit for Ichabod in this, I think. Like, and of course, what's his face loves him.
Tim Burton.
Thank you, Tim Burton. His name is not on the tip of my tongue tonight. So I think he matches, but I don't feel like he was the best version of Johnny Depp or of Ichabod Crane in this one. So I don't think I'm quite leaning there. But the person in this list that I do think gives his character everything and is so well rounded is Roy Scheider, not Schneider, as Chief Brody in Jaws.
Yep.
Like he brings the human aspect to this tragedy. Like he's kind of new, so he's a little bit of a misfit to the town. He has this whole like water phobia issues. Right. He's got kids and a wife he's trying to protect, but he's also trying to protect this whole island in the midst of their big, is it 4th of July, I think, is like their big tourist push. They need to have people in the water, you know?
Yeah.
And he just does it all. Like there, you see a little bit of his, emotional side as a father. You see the tug and pull with he and his wife.
Yeah.
And that dynamic there. You see him dealing with this mayor that's just like a pain in his neck. Yeah. And then having to really conquer his own fears. Not just because there's a giant monster living in the waters around their island, but because he has this own like internal trauma and distrust of the water. So I think he's just really bringing everything to the table in that role. So he gets our best leading actor of the season.
Excellent. Congratulations, Roy. The next category is most rebootable film, something that we would actually like to see remade, either as a movie or a TV series.
Okay, so the nominees for most rebootable film are Theater of Blood, Sleepy Hollow, Casper, Horror Express, or Alligator. I think what I'd love to point out at the very outset is that Jaws did not make this list. Yeah. That's because I have very strong feelings about movies that I feel have just like peaked. Yeah. And I don't want a reboot of them. One of those being Willy Wonka, which... That's another Shade conversation. Thrown. Yeah. But Jaws, it's Jaws. Like, and we have had multiple,
it's a masterpiece.
Not remakes, but people trying to riff off of that theme. Yeah. And it just hadn't been great. So let Jaws be Jaws. We don't want to reboot it.
It was lightning in a bottle, right? Like you're not going to get that again.
Exactly. All right, let's talk through these. Of course, Alligator's a monster movie. We could reboot Alligator. I mean, we live in Florida. We have alligators all the time. I think that's pretty easily rebootable.
And consider that it was fairly B-movie grade. Yeah. They had Oscar-winning actors in the film.
That's true.
And good special effects. So it made it like far above. It didn't
feel a normal B-movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they did way better. But what if you were to throw some money at an alligator killer movie, kind of loose in a city setting? Right?
Yeah, I think it could be done. And there have been some other more recent alligator type movie. I think Lake Placid, isn't that an alligator type thing?
That was from 1999, by the way.
Oh, that was from 99.
Yeah, he said more recent.
Well, that's recent-ish. It's more recent than this alligator movie.
Very true.
Whatever. Yeah. Showing my age. But to me, Alligator is very akin to a Jaws movie, and I'm happy with Jaws. Like I just don't need that. That remade, right?
Understood.
Horror Express. I think that one, it'd be a fun watch. I think we could do that. We could, but we've somewhat recently had Murder on the Orient Express, which is more of a mystery. It's not a horror.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I feel like that's a good train movie. How many train movies do we need?
Right.
Casper, I just feel like I don't want to dip my toe into the Disney reboot waters because there's been so much of that going on. For quite some time now that it just feels a little, too much. We don't need to go there again. Sleepy Hollow, there's been several iterations of Sleepy Hollow-esque things.
Sure.
I think it would become more and more of a horror movie if it got redone now.
Yeah.
And less of a ghost story.
Yeah, it'd be more slasher-esque, right?
I think so, which is not my cup of tea, so I wouldn't go there. So for me, I really feel like the most rebootable film of this season would be Vincent Price's Theater of Blood. I just think of the myriad of just super talented British actors and actresses that are out there that have so much West End, that whole Shakespeare stage experience.
Yeah.
I think there's some really good actors and actresses out there that could make this something pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. This could be a longer series. It could be like a 10-episode series.
That's true.
And each episode could be the details of that Shakespearean play, like the way he's going to murder such and such character and setting that up.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun.
That could be very interesting. You know what else I just thought of, which is not British, but I did love at least the first installment of this, is the, I can't think of what the detective's name, but the guy who plays James Bond, he does the Knives Out.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah, Daniel Craig. Like that type of murder mystery. I could see this fitting in something like that, you know, where you're playing with.
But it's definitely fun, right?
I think there's multiple ways to take Theater of Blood and refresh it.
Yeah.
It could be fun, murder mystery, type thing, or it could go darker and just be like a crime drama, or you could go the horror route too. You notice I'm always steering away from the horror route.
And I think that pretty much does it for us. We've got all 12 categories here that we went through. And so congratulations to our Attacky victors.
Woohoo!
This episode concludes our season 3. We really do appreciate all of you that listen to our podcast, and we encourage you to follow us and keep up with our updates so you'll know when season 4 kicks up.
That's right. Like and subscribe. I don't know. Is that a thing we say?
All the things, yes. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all of those.
Give us a rating.
Yeah,
what are the things I hear other people say?
5 stars. Just 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume podcasts.
Exactly. All those things.
But enjoy your movies, folks. Enjoy the holidays, and we will see you next year.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy your movies, and peace out.
Peace out.